Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for the Cuckoo's Fiancee, Chapter 93. When we last left our heroes, Hiro kind of wrapped Nagi up in some plan to become a star, carrying on with her big speech in 91 about no longer being in the background. And the plan is to take some new pictures for, like, the wedding information pamphlet for the shrine that would involve Nagi and Hiro playing the roles of bride and groom for the photo shoot. Nagi is, of course, over the moon, but Mama Segawa cuts them down real fast because, you know, they're both engaged to other people, and that's kind of a no-no. So Nagi tries to get under good graces, but it doesn't really work until we meet Papa Segawa, who is a little bit easier to convince. He just challenges Nagi to a sumo match, and when Nagi at least tries his best, he doesn't win, but he does try his best against the kind of giant of a man that Papa Segawa is, he gives him the okay to go in for the photo shoot, and that's where we left off. So we'll see how all that plays out right now. 93rd foul, you don't do all that for someone you hate. Our picture here is of Nagi in like a coffee store. Like if you see his coffee mug brewing, he's reading some kind of book. Erika's in the background, surreptitiously taking photos of him. He like clearly is trying to be cool, but like Erika's kind of mocking him for it. Is the vibe I get from that. Anyway, has Nagi fit right in with the Segawas? What exactly is a happy marriage? In quotes. We open with Nagi and Papa Segawa in the bath, in a hot spring, or you know, a bath. It's a shrine bath. And Papa Segawa just cheers, "Bravo, bravo! Sumo isn't just about winning. Just having the guts to face me is commendable in itself." So yes, basically, we didn't quite know why Papa Segawa considered it a win after last chapter, but it's basically what I assumed. It's more about guts than actual winning. "I've taken a liking to you, Umino-kun." And Nagi, I do like the contrast. Nagi's just so tiny compared to him. Nagi lets out this little laugh. He's basically a bear. But to think that the day would come when the day would come where I'm taking a bath with Segawa-san's father. What do I even talk about? And Papa Segawa just interrupts his thoughts. "By the way, Umino-kun, are you and Hiro in that sort of relationship?" And Nagi turns away, like visibly blushing now. "No, we're not like that. Not yet." Which is maybe a little bit more, given, you know, Hiro's particular status, a little more than maybe Nagi should be saying. But Papa Segawa sort of smiles at that and stands up. "The reason Hiro was so restricted in the first place is because I came to this shrine." Okay, don't know what that means. Nagi looks at him confused. "Her mother and I met through an arranged marriage, too." Okay. Also, he did not stand up. I misread that panel. But anyway, that does sort of characterize why Mama Segawa would be like so gung-ho for an arranged marriage if hers worked out fine. Anyway, Nagi sort of stares at him in shock. Is that so? And then he thinks, or I should say, as expected. Which, yeah, because again, she's also the kind of person who'd be on board with an arranged marriage. Maybe was happy with her own arranged marriage herself. Maybe, I don't know. After all, this shrine has 1,300 years of history. There's all sorts of circumstances to consider. And we have this flashback of him when he first comes to the shrine. "I came to the shrine to marry into the family. That was when Asami-san was 21, and I was 23. Is that the first time we're learning Hiro's mom's name, Asami? Okay. "When I first met her, I couldn't help but think about how cute she looked." And we see like their first meeting of a kind of baby-faced Papa Segawa and she doesn't look 21, Asami. She looks like she's in high school there, but okay. I'll hold off judgment. "I couldn't help but think about how cute she looked. I still remember it vividly." We just see Papa Segawa with this like dumb look on his face, smiling at Asami. And Asami like panics, "Eep!" And she like runs away, "Eek!" And he's like curled up, trembling. And Papa Segawa asks, "Is something the matter?" And Asami's just crying. "Am I really going to marry such a large man?" And he's just so uncomfortable at that. Just like sweating, that awkward smile. And Nagi sort of turns to him. Papa Segawa continues, even after we were married, she was still like that for quite some time. Those days, it felt like I was spinning my wheels with those one-sided feelings of mine. And Nagi sort of, buries his head a little bit under the water and says, it must have been quite the ordeal coming here. Nah, it's nothing. The chance to be with such an incredible person is a dream come true. And that's why I think Hiro should be free to marry somebody she loves herself. Okay. So there's I figured that, his success with the arranged marriage would make him be more pro-arranged marriage. But also we see that in that little flashback that he really did love Asami from the get-go. It was arranged, but it was still sort of, he got to marry who he loved, I suppose. Anyway, Nagi was shocked at that. Huh? Because Asami-san loves the shrine so much. She probably married to protect it. But I'm sure that she regrets it even now. If she and I hadn't been promised to each other, she would probably be enjoying her days. And there isn't a day that goes by that I don't think about that. So, does that mean that Asami never started, I figured that the arc we would sort of see through a flashback would be Asami slowly coming around to him, and then a genuine mutual love would bloom or something. And maybe it did, but it certainly seemed like Papa Segawa doesn't believe that. Believes that Asami only married him for the shrine. But if it weren't for the shrine, she'd be with someone she actually loved. And so, which does sort of explain how Papa Segawa is reacting to the whole Hiro situation. He doesn't want her to be miserable in the same way that he presumes Asami is miserable. Unless, of course, Asami just isn't actually miserable with him. Which would explain what would be a reason that Asami would be on board with the arranged marriage. 2, she also might just want to protect the shrine. Have Hiro protect the shrine much as she did. Anyway, Nagi asks, but even so, you still love her, don't you? And Papa Segawa laughs, you got me there. And so, Umino-kun, good luck. I'm rooting for you. Using this little thumbs up, and Nagi sort of is taken aback by his support, and they both stand up. Aye! Alright, time to get out of here. Both of their unmentionables covered by Shobas, of course. But Nagi gets a look at Papa Segawa's dick. He's a bear down there too, and I guess the sight of that makes him pass out. Make of that what you will. Oi, Umino-kun, are you okay? And we then cut to sometime later. Nagi sort of wakes up, kind of groggy, and he sits up to hear Hiro and Asami kind of talking about him in the next room. Hiro says he seems to be feeling a little bit dizzy. He's still responding, so he should be fine. I see. Good grief. Nothing good ever happens when it comes to that father of yours. And Hiro laughs. Well, Umino-kun seems to be having a good time, no? Okay. So, again, that does sort of look like maybe Papa Segawa is right. That Asami never really loved him. Or it's just sort of a mild bickering kind of thing. Done out of love or something. Anyway, Asami turns to Hiro. And as for yourself, if you weren't going on about those wedding pictures, this wouldn't have happened in the first place, would it now? And we see Hiro sort of uncomfortable at that, kind of, calling out. Your father may have approved, but I will not. Though it may be for work. Excuse me. How will you face your fiancé after making a pamphlet like that? Which we do see sort of the contrasts between Papa Segawa and Asami with that line. Papa Segawa is not really concerned about the fiancé. There's plenty of work that you can still do for the shrine. It's time you start behaving and stop this. And Hiro presses, I won't. And on top of that, I won't be marrying my fiancé. Okay, so she's sort of... Because again, at the end of the elopement arc, she promised to at least meet him. And now she's sort of completely gone back on that, maybe? I'm curious what's happened with her. We haven't really had a lot of time to focus on Hiro lately, with all of the eye drama. But let's see what's happened since then. And Asami sighs, not that again. Is there any reason for you to refuse so blatantly? Didn't you promise to try meeting him once you calmed down a bit? And Hiro sort of takes all that in. And then she just mutters, because it's clear when I look at you and Dad. You can't be happy if you're married to someone you were betrothed to. Oh, God. Okay. That's some drama. Also, though, I'm not... With that, we see Asami sort of shocked. What? And I do think we're going to learn that, like, Hiro's been wrong this whole time, and Asami really does love her husband. But also, it's just sort of... Given how much... Maybe... It might slightly be projecting, but the series is definitely presenting Nagi Eri as, like, a potential endgame ship. And so it's sort of... You know, I can't really believe the show is saying all arranged marriages are bad, actually. That's not really in line with everything the show has going on. Anyway, Hiro continues, why should I have to get married if I can't be happy? And we see Nagi also looking kind of uncomfortable at all this. Even if I don't do it, I'll still protect the shrine. I've been working hard in order to do that. Without relying on my fiancé's power, I want to try and grow the shrine on my own. And Asami just, like, slams her fist down. You can't just say such selfish things. You know nothing about what you're saying. And Hiro kind of snaps back. You're the one who doesn't know anything. And Papa Segawa walks in and yells at them. Hold up a minute here. Why don't we just let her do it already? Asami-san, just taking these wedding photos is no more than fiction after all. I don't think he's quite heard Hiro's bold claim that her parents just don't love each other. But anyway, Asami sort of brushes him off. That's not what we're talking about right now. And Papa Segawa sort of grunts, ugh. And Asami continues, to begin with, what about yourself? All you've got is that hulking body of yours. Yet there's nothing you can do. And Papa Segawa has that kind of uncomfortable grin on again and protests, that's not true at all. I can do all sorts of things. And Nagi's still listening in. This conversation has become more and more troublesome. Asami, they're just like getting into a kind of a lover spat. Oh, I don't know if I believe you. You can't button your shirt. His like hands are too small to make the button work. Your fingers are just too fat. And we see him complaining, the hole is so small. And then he breaks like a broom or something. It broke, Asami protests. You mean you broke it? You're quick to break things. And just how many pairs of socks have you worn through? And we see his socks, like all of his toes peeking out of the socks. What are you even doing to destroy them? And Nagi, you know, he sort of like walked in on his... It's like when you go to your friend's house and like their parents are having an argument right in front of you and you're really uncomfortable. That's distinctly the vibe going on here. And Nagi just thinks, oh no. And Asami goes on, and to top it off, you've broken the shrine's ceiling too. In the end, you even made visiting children cry. And Papa Segawa is just sort of broken down. You mean the only thing you can't do without me is sumo? And Hiro sort of tries to build him up. Get it together, Dad. And Nagi starts to think, wait, but... and then, I think this is Hiro's line. And what about you, Mom? You could have just left it at, you can't do anything in your daily life. In other words, you can't do anything aside from sumo. And with that, you know, I think Hiro's trying to defend him, but it's not really working, and Papa Segawa is just a crying mess now. And then Nagi makes his presence known and opens the door. Is that really the case here? And Hiro's sort of shocked at this intrusion. That only shows how Segawa-san's mother and father are always together. It shows they come and see each other every day, and that they know each other inside and out. You don't do all that for someone you hate. And there's our title line. As Nagi defends specifically the Segawa's marriage, but also I kind of get the sense he's almost defending the concept of the arranged marriage. Because we see when he really starts to get uncomfortable is before the parental spat. It's with Hiro's, you can't be happy if you're married to someone you were betrothed to. So maybe I'm just desperately looking for Nagi Eri hints in here. But also, it doesn't feel like, in a sense, he's also defending the concept of the arranged marriage. Specifically, him and Erika, perhaps. Anyway, you don't do all that for someone you hate. It shows that you love him very much, don't you? And we see Asami just becomes a blushing mess at the thought, as if something as pretentiously Western as love. Okay, okay, there's a concept. I mean, I guess given that her arranged marriage is specifically about this particularly Japanese shrine, I could see how love could become a Western concept in her mind. But okay, it's a clear sort of like the lady does protest too much sort of thing. Because she very much, the whole blushing and the shoujo bubbles behind her, she very clearly does love him. Good grief. What even? And I think this might be the first time Papa Segawa really realized his wife does love him. Huh? Whoa! And Nagi reacts a war cry, but Hiro tells him, you don't have to cry, Dad. And then we cut to, I think, Nagi's like cooking dinner, or he's eating dinner or something. This is like sometime later. Hiro tells him, thanks, Umino-kun. Huh? I learned something about my family today that I didn't know before. Mom didn't like Dad at first, but slowly but surely she came to like him over time. So yeah, but like I was kind of getting at earlier in the chapter, that is sort of where this is going. Though we'll see how that, because Hiro's earlier statement, her whole I will not accept the arranged marriage at all, actually, and going back on what I said earlier, it was specifically in response to her parents' marriage. Now that she sees her parents' marriage actually is built on mutual love, I'm curious how that will impact what she wants to do about her fiancé. Anyway, Nagi responds, she sure did. And Hiro tells him, if I've learned so much in the short time you've been here, I wonder how much more I'd learn if we were to get married. Oh. and Hiro, we see Nagi kind of taken aback at that. Hiro plays it off, though it's questionable if, she's playing it off as a joke. I'm wondering if she fully meant it as a joke. Just kidding. Nagi reacts, kidding? But I wonder if I'm finally also free to love who I want. It's not quite a full-on money shot. It's only like a 3/4 page, but it definitely is framed like that. And interestingly, in a lot of the money shots, we get the focus character's face. Here, their faces are obscured. We see them from behind. And I'm not quite sure we're supposed to really take anything from that, but it's definitely something worth considering. But then Hiro turns back to him with a sort of pure smile on her face. I mean, putting the reason for it aside, the fact that they're both happy they got married is still what matters most, right? So maybe they'll finally agree that it doesn't have to be an arranged marriage. Okay, so that's how she's taking it. It's not maybe this arranged marriage thing isn't so bad. It's maybe they'll be okay with their marriage wasn't formed on love, but it's built on love, if that makes sense. And maybe they'll let me base my marriage on love as well, i.e. getting with Nagi. Though Nagi, of course, is way too dense to ever really understand that, yada yada yada. The final thing doesn't have to be an arranged marriage. And then we just see, Hiro gets this giant grin, and Nagi's taken aback. So basically, this is the grand opening of Segawa-san's love life. And if luck permits, and he has this image of Hiro just coming out and saying, I've always liked you, Umino-kun. And the real Hiro goes on, so Umino-kun, and Nagi just blushes, yes, what is it? And then they're interrupted. Oi, you two, it's Papa Segawa. I changed my mind. Hiro, you're getting married to your fiancé. There's the actual, there's the other route I was seeing this going. I thought from Hiro going the same route. Maybe, the arranged marriage isn't so bad. But no, it's Papa Segawa going this route. Now that he's realized that an arranged marriage can be based on mutual love. And Nagi is sort of stunned at the setback he's accidentally caused for himself. Huh? Nagi's continually panics as Papa Segawa goes on. Because of what happened today, I reconsider and think that marrying your fiancé is the best way to happiness. And Nagi's just sort of stunned. What? And Hiro protests. What? What are you saying? Wait, Mom, help me out here. And Asami just tells her, Good grief. That's just how it is. Come on. Thanks to Nagi, or so it should have been. Next time, Hiro launches the starring role reclamation project. Okay, so it looks like next time we're not quite, we're still sort of staying in the same concept. Maybe we will still stay with the whole wedding photos thing. But Hiro still wants to become that starring role. She's gotten sidetracked for a couple chapters dealing with her parents' marriage. But whether that ends up being a new plan for the starring role reclamation project, or if it's just the same thing or if it's just a successful version of the wedding photo plan, that will all remain to be seen. Anyway, let's talk about this chapter, because I really like this chapter a lot. There's some good character work here. There's some good sort of exploring, this is a series that's kind of well equipped to question, arranged marriages. Whenever we see arranged marriages in fiction, they're always inherently negative. And I think there's generally a good reason for that. The whole restriction of freedom, of being forced to marry who your parents choose for you. Oftentimes in the stories where arranged marriages come up, it's the woman is the bride, the potential bride to be is completely left out and is largely her parents and her would-be husband gets to decide while she's kind of a prop in political games. You're like medieval fantasy shit. So generally, yeah, it's kind of good to be arranged marriages are kind of iffy at best. But it is definitely maybe it's just by moving it into the modern day, it comes off as a lot less inherently predatory, I guess. I'm trying to find the right way to phrase this. Because the series is distinctly, if not pro-arranged marriage, not arranged marriage agnostic. It's pushing back into the idea that an arranged marriage has to be a bad thing, which is definitely an interesting take, and it's one that I think the series is doing pretty well, as my deep love of Nagi Eri sort of shows, I predict. But yeah, there is... I lost my train of thought there. Hold on, where was I going with that? Anyway, it's nice to see, we've seen arranged marriages as potential things. This is kind of the first arranged marriage we've seen that happened. And, it sort of came across initially as a one-sided love thing, with Papa Segawa loving Asami, and Asami sort of only being with him for the sake of the shrine. But as we see, that love can blossom, despite the sort of despite their marriage being an arrangement, which I do kind of, might just be shipper lenses or something, but I do sort of see echoes of Nagi Eri in that. Especially with Nagi getting distinctly uncomfortable once Hiro starts talking about you can't be happy if you're married to someone you were betrothed to. If Nagi is starting to recognize potential feelings for Erika, that's not going to be that's something that's going to kind of make him a little bit uncomfortable, perhaps. But also, their relationship, the Segawa parents' relationship, is just kind of cute, honestly. The way that, Papa Segawa is just, hulking, yelling behemoth of a man, but he becomes this blushing mess as soon as his wife is involved, is adorable, and we stan. Asami also has a very, similar vibe. Though it's less sort of outward macho aggression and more the sort of cold, matter-of-fact nature she has about protecting the shrine. And then as Nagi sort of points out that just knowing all this stuff about someone, really paying attention to him for all these years, that's not a hatred response. He thinks that's a love response. And we find out that he's right. And I think you make an argument that maybe he's sort of stepping out of turn here, dictating his friend's parents' marriage to them. But he was right, and he has definitely bettered the Segawa's relationship. Though, whether he's benefited his own potential relationship with Hiro, not so lucky there. Anyway, before I go, I want to talk about this last bit of Hiro right before Papa Segawa comes in and blows up the whole plan. She says, "So, Umino-kun, and then they're interrupted. Was she going to confess to him? Because, it's been pretty clear for a while. I think she's directly said it to Sachi, I think, that she's into Nagi. Was that going to be the moment she confessed? Or was it going to be some kind of cutaway gag or something? Or some kind of trick or something? I don't know. to make, it would have been a gag had Papa Segawa not interrupted it with a gag of his own. I don't know. The fact that we needed this gag, the sort of, or not really a gag, but the reinforcement of the arranged marriage to cut off what Hiro said, made me think it might have actually been a confession there. I don't know. But anyway, everything's sort of not quite status quo in on a character standpoint, but in a plot standpoint, back to status quo. Hiro is even more constrained, I guess, by the arranged marriage, which is still sort of a weird thing given the show's. So, actually, let me talk about that for a second, actually. Because like I said before, the show is generally pretty on board with the concept of an arranged marriage. Its main romantic duo are betrothed to each other. We see how happy the Segawas are in their arranged marriage. But then we just see that Hiro is everything I said before about it being done largely out of the potential bride's hands, handled by her parents and and the potential groom. That's all firmly in place for Hiro. And it is kind of bad. So I don't know. Maybe the show is ultimately gearing up to say, arranged marriages in a specific context where, the potential spouses are part of the discussion or something. Because it did seem like Asami agreed to marry Papa Segawa for the sake of the shrine. So maybe that's the answer, is that, if Hiro were involved, that arranged marriage would work out, but because her parents are sort of leaving her out of the loop, she literally has not met her fiancé yet. It's not great. I don't know. But the show is definitely getting at something with arranged marriages, and I'm curious to see how that theme starts to play out. But anyway, beyond that, this is just a fun chapter. There's a lot here to really enjoy, to laugh at, to have fun with, to enjoy the character dynamics, and to kind of sink your teeth into. So all in all, absolutely stellar chapter this week. And yeah, I think I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe. Do whatever makes you happy, And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!